and Jonah was angry. Jonah felt like since Jonah had a problem with the Ninevites, that God ought to have a problem with the Ninevites. And when you look at that angry, Jonah was literally hot. Amen. He was mad with God. Since he didn't like the Ninevites, he expected God to not like the Ninevites. And this is what got me, Brother Renfro. And since God did not agree with what Jonah, now Jonah got mad at God. Amen. I think I'm going to say that again. Somebody ain't getting that. Amen. See, Jonah felt like since I don't like the Ninevites, and since the Ninevites hurt me, God, I'm expecting you not to like the Ninevites because I don't like the Ninevites. But since God didn't agree with what Jonah felt, Jonah even got mad at God. Have you ever met somebody like that? That as long as you going about what they want to do, and as long as you marching to their beats, you and them are best boon coons, y'all best friends, y'all besties. But as soon as you be your own man, as soon as you be your own woman, and you tell her, no, that ain't the right way to do it, no, that ain't becoming a Christian, they got a problem with the other person, and they even got a problem with you. I've been there even as a pastor, amen. Had people come join the church, people come visit the church and say, Pastor, listen, I'm going to let you know what they used to do. And listen, that's between you and them, amen. There's two sides to the story. You only giving your version. Listen, that's your problem. That's not my problem. Listen, I ain't got no beef with nobody because God don't have no beef with nobody. Listen, the first place that you ought to want to be is you ought to want to be in church. But since you don't like them, you expecting everybody else not to like them, but I'm not going to be what you want me to be. I'm going to choose ye this day whom I'm going to serve. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Jonah is hot because he don't like who God is saving, Kiki. Oh, I've been there before too, amen. Oh, Pastor, we don't want him or her to be in our ministry. Since when you own the ministry, amen? And maybe that's the problem. You own it and they gave it to God, amen. Maybe it's time for God to take over the ministry because in your hands it's nothing, but in God's hands is everything. Jonah didn't like who God was saving. But this is an oxymoron. This is a contradiction. Because Jonah was good with God giving him another chance. But Jonah struggled with God giving other people another chance. So I hope you hear me, man. Jonah was good with God for giving him. But Jonah struggled with God for giving somebody else. Jonah didn't have a problem with God showing him some mercy. But Jonah struggled with having mercy with his own brother and sister who he see every day. How many of us, God has been good to us. How many of us have lived some low down lives, have made some serious mistakes, have known if anybody should have gone to hell, it should have been you. But God gave you another chance. God cleaned up your marriage. God showed you new mercy. God gave you some grace. And you mean God has been that good to you? And you can't forgive somebody? You can't be merciful to somebody? You can't give somebody another chance? It seemed to me that if anybody ought to tell God thank you, it ought to be the one who God showed a little mercy. Jonah was selfish. He was so selfish, Marcus, till God had to say, really? Y'all think I'm lying? Look at Jonah chapter 4, verse 4. And the Lord said, do you do well to be angry? Really? After I delivered you from the sea? Really? After you was on a boat about to get other people drowned because you wouldn't get right? Really, Jonah? After you was in that fish for 3 days, you should have been dead. That acid should have been ate you up, but I gave you another chance. Really, Jonah? And God is trying to tell that to somebody. Listen, I delivered you from crack, Really? You can't come to Bible study? You was broke, you didn't have a dime in your pocket, you didn't have a job, and you can't come to church on time? Really? I've forgiven you for all the dirt and all the messed up stuff you did, and you can't forgive somebody else? Really? Really, you can't pay your tithes? And I gave you the job? Really, you can't sing in the choir? And I gave you a beautiful voice? Really, you can't come to serve ministry? And I made you a minister? Really, you won't prepare yourself? And I gave you the opportunity to lead the church and lead a ministry? God is saying, really? But you see, that's what selfishness will do. Selfishness will make you receive what you don't want to give. I'm trying to talk to somebody today, amen. That's what selfishness will do, amen. It'll make you receive what you don't want to give, amen. Oh, we love God showing us some mercy. But brothers and sisters, when you going to show somebody else some mercy, amen? We like God looking past our faults. But when you're going to look past somebody else's faults and forgive your own brother, your own biological brother, your own biological sister that you were raised from a pup, and you mean to tell me $20 is going to separate the relationship between your brothers and sisters? I'd rather give you $500 and we stay in fellowship than don't forgive you over $5 or $20. That little $200 didn't stop me. I still got a suit on. That little $200 didn't block me. I'm still preaching and teaching. That little $200 didn't do you anything. You still in church. You still faring well. You still looking good. You still got pork chops in your refrigerator. That stuff didn't wipe you out. Matter of fact, that stuff made you better. It made you stronger. It made you wiser. And you want to tell God, thank you for your haters, amen. Because haters gonna hate. And potatoes gonna what? Potate. Amen. I'm just glad God is in the neighborhood blessing people. Amen. You know, Brother Fred, when I was growing up, amen, we still call it the quarters, amen. And to this day, I don't even know the streets of the quarters. All I know is there was the front street, amen. That's where Inez, the Inez, whatever that was on the corner, amen. That was the front street. Then they had the middle street. And then they had the back street, amen. That's what I know today, the front street, the middle street, and the back street. Well, the ice cream man, he would come into the neighborhood, amen. And I had some cousins. He was always the ice cream man would start on the back street. And I had some cousins, they lived on the back street. And I can see that my cousins from my house getting some ice cream from the ice cream man from my house on the back street. I lived on the middle street, they were on the back street. I can see them giving the ice cream man their money, get some ice cream, jumping up and down. So glad they had some ice cream, pointing their finger, oh, we got an ice cream. But listen, I didn't hate on them because the same ice cream man that was on the back street is the same ice cream man that's coming to the middle street. What are you trying to tell us, Pastor Jasper? Listen, you ain't got to hate on nobody because the same God that blessed Sister Richard is the same God that blessed Pastor Jasper. The same God that blessed your family is the same God that can bless my family. The same God that healed your body is the same God that can heal my body. I'm just glad that God is in the Vinton neighborhood blessing folk, amen? He says, if we're going to be compassionate, amen, we can't be selfish. Say selfish. Number two, if you're going to be compassionate, you can't sit and stare, amen. You can't sit and stare, amen. You can't sit. Some of y'all sitting and staring right now, amen. You can't be one of the people that like to sit and stare. Y'all ever met them type of people, amen? They just like to check things out, amen. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to get engaged. I'm just going to check it out. Don't ask me to do anything. I just want to sit and I want to stare. Amen. I don't know what they looking at. I don't know what they thinking about. They just want to sit and stare. I'm in the Bible. Amen. Jonah chapter 4 verse 5. Listen what it says in Jonah. Jonah went out of the city and sat to the east of the city and made a booth for himself there. He sat under it in the shade till he should see what would become of the city. Jonah's sitting in the booth waiting for the demise and the destruction of Nineveh. Since things ain't going Jonah's way, Jonah said, you know what Jonah said? I'm just going to stop and I'm going to let it fall. That's what he said, amen. He said, that's what Jonah said. He said, it ain't going my way. I don't like the decision God is making. I don't like what God is doing with the Nineveh. So guess what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit here. I'm going to make me a booth and I'm going to let everything fall. I ain't paying my tithes. Don't ask me to do anything. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. I'm going to watch Pastor Jasper fall. I hope everything fall. I'm just going to sit here. Don't ask me to do nothing. I'm going to mean mug you to death. All I'm going to watch and let it fall. I can care less about Morning Star Church. I can care less about the ministry. I wanted blue carpet. Y'all pick red carpet. I said don't change the pulpit. You change the pulpit. And since me and my family don't like your decision, all we're going to do is sit right here and we're going to watch it fall. Oh, it's going to fall, baby. You just give it a amount of time, yeah? All that stuff he talking about, that stuff ain't going to work at Morning Star, but we still got a van. We still got a cross. God is still good. People still allowed to change. You ain't stopping nothing, just sitting and staring. Amen. That's all you're doing. Sitting and staring. Amen. Ain't getting engaged. Got a beautiful voice, but you won't sing because you worried about all your problems. Listen, having that attitude, you're going to always have problems, amen. Can have your kids in ministry, but you won't get them in ministry because you don't like the youth leader. You don't like what's going on. You don't like what they decided. So you say, you know what? I'm going to build me my own little booth and I'm going to watch it fall. But guess what? The only person that's going to fall is going to be your children, your life. You ain't hurt nobody but yourself. The same God today is going to be the same God yesterday. The church is still going to go on. People's lives are going to still be changed. The only person you hurt is yourself. Jonah said, I'm going to sit outside the city and I'm going to watch it fall. Amen. See, when you don't have compassion, you sit and stare and you watch and whine. Amen. I'll say that again. See, when you don't have compassion, when things don't go your way, you sit and you stare and you watch and you whine. Amen. You ever met some people who watch and they whine? Amen. I can handle you watching. Amen. I just can't deal with all the whining. Amen. Listen, you don't care about it anyway. Why you keep talking about it? Amen. You said you wouldn't have nothing to do with the church. Why you keep talking about the church? You said you don't want to have anything to do with it. Why you're whining about stuff? You're already watching, and now you're whining. Amen. But when you got compassion, even when things don't go your way, you'll still work. You'll still do your part. It ain't always got to be my way, amen. Even if the children were still on the left side of the cross, even though I recommended they come to the middle, I'ma still preach, I'ma still teach. I ain't gonna hold no harbor hurt because somebody don't see it your way, amen. I ain't gotta whine, talking about I'm the pastor, they need to be doing this. Sometimes you gotta leave things in the hand of the Lord, amen. Quit worrying about all that stuff. While you worried about that stuff, you could be giving your husband a kiss. You could be cooking some fried chicken for your children. You could be running around the park trying to get your body together, but you all too busy sitting in the house worried about stuff that you can't have no influence to change. I ain't worried about St. James. I ain't worried about Smyrna. I ain't worried about Good Hope. I ain't worried about St. Louis. I can't change nothing over there. All I can do is make the impact at Morning Star Baptist Church. I will not watch and I will not whine. I'm going to be about my Father's business while I am still yet alive.